The summer sun spilled across the quiet streets of Willow Creek, a town where appearances mattered and secrets lived behind white picket fences. Claire Thompson and Megan Riley were only 10 years old when they first clasped hands, swearing to be best friends forever. To everyone else, they were inseparable, the golden girls of the neighborhood. But behind their smiles, even then, tiny cracks had begun to form. Claire, the daughter of a hard-working single mother, carried herself with quiet determination. She excelled in school, loved her books, and dreamed of building something meaningful one day. Megan, on the other hand, came from a wealthier family, with a father who valued power and a mother obsessed with appearances. Megan's world was bigger, brighter, and filled with privileges Claire couldn't touch. "You'll always have me," Megan whispered one night as they lay under the stars in Claire's backyard, pinky fingers locked together. No matter what. Claire believed her. But as the years passed, jealousy crept into their friendship. Megan grew resentful of the attention Claire received for her intelligence and kindness. Teachers praised Claire's essays, neighbors admired her strong will, and even Megan's own family sometimes compared her to Claire. Megan smiled on the outside, but inside, she burned. The rivalry came to a head during their high school years. At a summer lake party, surrounded by the laughter of classmates, a moment occurred that would bind them in silence forever. Claire, trying to stop Megan from making a reckless choice, witnessed something shocking, an impulsive act from Megan that ended in tragedy for another student. The police ruled it an accident, but Claire knew the truth. "You'll never tell anyone," Megan hissed afterward, her eyes wild with fear and desperation. "If you love me like you say you do, Claire, you'll keep this between us." Claire did, out of loyalty, out of fear, out of the faint hope that her friend would change. But something in her heart hardened that night. From then on, their bond was tainted. Claire carried the weight of Megan's secret like an anchor, while Megan began to wield it as power. Whenever Claire drifted too far, Megan would lean in with a reminder, "You wouldn't want anyone digging into that night, would you?" It was a friendship built on promises but sustained by manipulation. And though no one else knew, that buried secret, one that could destroy both their lives, waited in the shadows. Years later, when betrayal finally shattered them apart, Megan would convince herself she had beaten Claire once and for all. What she didn't know was that the cracks formed in childhood were only the beginning of a storm destined to consume them both. Cliffhanger. As the chapter closes, Claire finds a folded note in her locker after school. In Megan's unmistakable handwriting, it reads, "If you ever tell, I'll make sure everyone knows your part in it too." Claire's hand trembles as she realizes their childhood promise of loyalty has become a weapon. Years rolled by, and the bond between Claire Thompson and Megan Riley grew more complicated. They were no longer two girls making pinky promises under the stars. They were women chasing ambition, love, and power in the same small town that had once bound them together. Claire had finally begun to see her dreams take shape. After years of hard work, she developed a business plan for a boutique marketing firm. She spent sleepless nights perfecting her proposal, sketching designs, and envisioning a future where she would finally step out of Megan's shadow. For once, success felt within her grasp. Megan, meanwhile, had grown restless. Though she had the comfort of her parents' wealth, she envied Claire's drive and the admiration people showed her. Megan's life felt like a performance, parties, charity luncheons, and shallow relationships, while Claire was on the cusp of building something real. And then came Jason Miller. Jason was everything Claire had ever wanted: kind, ambitious, and deeply loyal. He saw her not only as the brilliant mind behind her business, but also as the woman he wanted by his side forever. He proposed to her one crisp autumn evening, slipping a diamond ring on her trembling finger as golden leaves swirled around them. Claire thought she had it all: a business partner she trusted in Megan, and a fiancé who loved her unconditionally. But she didn't know Megan's jealousy had turned poisonous. One evening, while working late, Claire left her business plan on the kitchen counter. Megan, who had stopped by to visit, spotted it. She skimmed the pages, her eyes narrowing with every word. It was brilliant. And in Megan's mind, it should have been hers. "You'll thank me someday," Megan whispered to herself, slipping the papers into her purse. Weeks later, Claire stood frozen in disbelief when she learned Megan had launched a company identical to hers. Same name, same pitch, same ideas. And worse, Jason, the man Claire loved, was now suddenly distant. He stopped returning calls, canceled dates, and eventually confessed the unthinkable. He had fallen for Megan. Claire confronted her best friend, her voice shaking with rage. "How could you? I trusted you with everything. My dreams, my heart, my life." Megan's lips curled into a smile, her tone icy. "You should know by now, Claire. You can't hold on to anything forever. Not your ideas, not your man, not me." The betrayal cut deeper than Claire ever imagined possible. She wanted to scream, to fight back, to expose Megan for the thief she was. But instead, she swallowed her pain, walked away, and disappeared from Megan's life without another word. To Megan, silence meant victory. She thought she had won. Cliffhanger. Late that night, Megan opens her desk drawer to lock away the stolen business papers. But tucked beneath them is a photo of her and Claire from childhood, their faces beaming. On the back, in Claire's handwriting, a haunting message is scrawled, "One day, everything you stole will return to me." Years slipped by, but the wounds of betrayal never healed. Claire Thompson had vanished from Megan Riley's life without warning, leaving behind only silence and unanswered questions. Megan married Jason Miller and wore her stolen success like a crown, convincing the world and herself that she had triumphed. Yet every so often, when the night was too quiet, she would wonder what became of the woman she once called her best friend. The answer came unexpectedly one stormy afternoon. Megan sat in her sunlit office, glass of Chardonnay in hand, when her phone buzzed. The voice on the other end was flat, businesslike. "Ms. Riley, this is Officer Daniels. I'm afraid I have difficult news. Claire Thompson, there's been an accident." The words sent Megan's glass crashing to the floor. She barely heard the officer explain that Claire's car had skidded off a rain-slicked road and plunged into a ravine. The body was identified by her personal belongings. For the first time in years, Megan felt a hollow ache she couldn't explain. Claire was gone, her silence final. Days later, Megan attended the memorial service, held in the old church where she and Claire once sang in the children's choir. The pews overflowed with mourners, many of whom whispered about the tragic accident that had claimed a woman so young. Megan kept her composure, her hand clutching Jason's. But her mind spun wildly. Guilt gnawed at her. She wondered, had her betrayal played a part in driving Claire to despair? As the service ended, a man in a gray suit approached her. He introduced himself as Mr. Whitaker, Claire's attorney. His tone was polite but laced with intent. "Mrs. Miller," he said, handing her a leather-bound diary, its edges worn with age. "Claire requested, in her final wishes, that this be delivered to you, and only you." Megan blinked, taken aback. "To me? Why?" Mr. Whitaker's expression was unreadable. She called it her gift. That night, alone in her study, Megan ran her fingers over the diary's cover. Memories of late-night talks, pinky promises, and laughter by the lake surged through her. For the first time in years, tears stung her eyes. Perhaps this was Claire's way of offering forgiveness, of leaving behind a piece of their bond. But when Megan opened the first page, her breath caught. The handwriting was Claire's, delicate yet deliberate. "Megan, if you're reading this, then fate has already claimed me. But don't think for a second that I didn't see what you did. Every lie, every betrayal, every stolen dream. This diary is not just my story. It is your undoing." Megan's heart pounded as the candlelight flickered against the walls. The words were not forgiveness. They were a warning. Cliffhanger. Outside the window, lightning split the night sky. Megan thought she saw a shadow move across her lawn. Tall, unmistakable watching. But when she ran to the window, the yard was empty. Only the diary remained, open in her trembling hands. Megan sat on the edge of her velvet armchair, the diary balanced on her knees. The house was unnervingly silent, the storm outside casting shadows that danced across the walls like restless spirits. Her fingers trembled as she opened the first page, expecting memories of friendship, apologies, maybe even forgiveness. Instead, she found Claire's voice, cold, precise, and unrelenting. "Megan, I watched you carefully. Every lie, every theft. Every stolen piece of my heart and my life. You thought you were clever, that no one would notice, but I saw it all." Megan's eyes darted across the page. She swallowed hard. How much had Claire truly known? How long had she been planning this? As she flipped through the pages, the diary revealed secrets that made Megan's stomach twist. Claire had documented every betrayal. How Megan stole her business idea. How she seduced Jason. Even small manipulations. Friends, colleagues, and neighbors unknowingly complicit. Each entry was accompanied by strange symbols and cryptic annotations, like a code Megan couldn't immediately decipher. "Claire, what are you doing?" Megan whispered, panic creeping into her voice. She clutched the diary to her chest as if holding it too tightly would make the revelations stop. But they didn't. One page caught her attention. A sketch of her office, Jason's study, even her favorite hiding spots. Beside it, a note in Claire's unmistakable handwriting. Some truths must be discovered, not told. Megan's pulse raced. Someone had been watching her, and Claire had been planning this long before her death. Her hands shook as she turned another page. Here, Claire wrote of their childhood secret, the moment by the lake, the tragedy that no one else had ever known. Claire had remembered everything. Every whispered promise, every time Megan had manipulated or lied. And she had kept it all, storing it like a weapon. Megan's mind reeled. Every achievement she had built, every relationship she had thought secure, suddenly felt fragile. If Claire had known all this, who else might learn the truth? Who else had been enlisted, even unknowingly, in her plan? The storm outside intensified, rattling the windows. Megan glanced up, and for a fleeting second, she swore she saw movement in the shadows. A silhouette standing just beyond the yard. She blinked, and it was gone. Heart racing, she forced herself to look back at the diary. A folded piece of paper fell from between the pages. It was a map of Willow Creek marked with red X's and cryptic annotations. Megan's throat tightened. Claire hadn't just chronicled the past. She had set a path, a trail for Megan to follow, or perhaps a trap she couldn't escape. Cliffhanger. Megan's phone buzzed on the table. A text flashed across the screen from an unknown number. "I see you found it. The game begins now." The map had been there all along, folded neatly in the diary's spine, yet Megan had never noticed it until that stormy night. Now staring at the red X's and cryptic symbols, a cold dread settled over her. Claire's voice seemed to echo from every corner of the house, whispering of betrayals that had long been buried. Megan couldn't sleep. She found herself walking the streets of Willow Creek at dawn, the map clutched in her hands like a lifeline and a noose. Every location Claire had marked seemed ordinary at first: a park bench, a small cafe, an abandoned warehouse by the river. But each held a secret. Each pointed to evidence that Megan had hoped would remain hidden forever. Her first stop was the old cafe where she and Claire had celebrated their college graduation. Megan had thought it was a happy memory, a relic of friendship. Instead, she found a small envelope tucked under a loose floorboard beneath the table they had once shared. Inside were photographs, pictures of Megan subtly sabotaging Claire's projects, whispers caught on tape, and letters that exposed every lie she had spun to colleagues and even Jason. Her hands shook as she read, guilt gnawing at her like fire. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every stolen idea was laid bare. And then she noticed something she hadn't expected: timestamps. Claire had anticipated Megan's movements. She had predicted exactly where Megan would be even years later. Megan fled the cafe, her chest tight, thoughts spiraling. The next X led her to the park, where she found a small wooden box buried beneath the roots of an ancient oak. Inside were items she had thought lost forever. A childhood diary she had given Claire, a locket, even a photograph of Claire and Jason from their early college days, back when Claire had trusted her implicitly. As Megan examined the box, she realized the horrifying truth. Claire had been orchestrating this from the very beginning. Every betrayal, every secret, every misstep had been documented with meticulous care. And now, years later, it was all coming back to haunt her. By the time Megan reached the final X, she was breathless, exhausted, and terrified. It led her to the abandoned warehouse. Inside, crates were stacked high, each containing more pieces of her past. Emails, recorded conversations, proof that Claire had watched her like a predator waiting in the shadows. A cold voice seemed to whisper through the empty warehouse. "Did you think I wouldn't notice?" Megan's head spun. For the first time in her life, she felt completely powerless, trapped in a game where Claire's reach extended beyond the grave. Cliffhanger. As she turned to leave, Megan froze. Written in red paint across the warehouse wall were the words, "You thought you won, but the game has only begun." And beneath it a small envelope with her name scrawled in Claire's handwriting, "Open me if you dare." Megan stared at the envelope in her trembling hands, her heart hammering like a drum. The warehouse was silent except for the distant drip of water from a leaking pipe, but inside her mind, chaos raged. The diary, the map, the photographs. Claire's meticulous trap had shredded the walls Megan had built around her life. And now, the final piece of the puzzle loomed. Jason. She returned home in a daze, avoiding eye contact with Jason, who had sensed the change in her immediately. "Megan, what's wrong?" he asked, worry creasing his brow. "Nothing," she muttered, forcing a smile. But the weight of Claire's revenge pressed down on her chest like a stone. Later that evening, unable to resist, Megan tore open the envelope. Inside were photographs, old ones, intimate and damning. One showed Jason with Claire at a cafe years before Megan had even come into the picture. Another captured a note Claire had written about him, revealing secrets Megan had kept hidden even from the man she married. Her hands shook. Every photo, every annotation screamed that Claire had been watching, documenting, and manipulating far longer than Megan had realized. Jason noticed her distress. "Megan, what is this?" he demanded, snatching a photograph from her hands. His eyes widened, not just in surprise, but in anger. "You don't understand," Megan said, her voice quivering. "Claire, she left this for me. It's just memories, nothing else." "Memories?" Jason's voice rose. "This is more than memories, Megan. You've hidden things from me. Things Claire knew. Things I never knew. Were you lying to me all these years?" The accusation hit her like a slap. Megan's mind raced. Could she explain the childhood secret, the betrayals, the theft of Claire's ideas? Could she confess without dismantling the fragile life she had built? I didn't want you to get hurt," she stammered. I thought I could protect us." Jason's jaw tightened. "Protect us? Or protect yourself?" His eyes, once full of love, now burned with suspicion. "How deep does this go, Megan? How much of what I believed was real?" Megan felt the walls closing in. Claire's plan had worked perfectly. By leaving these remnants of the past, she had ensured that Megan's perfect life would begin to crumble from the inside out. Every lie, every secret, every stolen moment had resurfaced to haunt her. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil inside the house. Rain lashed against the windows as Megan realized that her marriage, her final bastion of stability, was now in jeopardy, and she had no one to blame but herself and Claire. Cliffhanger. As Megan fled to the study to gather the diary and her thoughts, her phone vibrated with an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A cold, familiar voice whispered on the line. "Jason knows now, but he doesn't know the half of it. Shall we continue, Megan?" Megan thought she had prepared herself for everything Claire could throw at her. She was wrong. It started subtly. A folder appeared on her office desk one morning, sealed with red wax, no return address. Inside were pages ripped from the diary, Claire's words documenting Megan's manipulations, her lies, and betrayals. At first, Megan thought it was a mistake, a cruel prank. But the next day, the same folder appeared at Jason's office, then at her mother's, and finally at the doorstep of her teenage daughter Lily. Megan's heart raced as she realized the full scope of Claire's plan. This was no longer a private attack. Claire's gift was spreading like wildfire, touching every corner of Megan's carefully constructed world. Lily opened her envelope first. Megan watched in horror as her daughter read the pages and her face twisted in confusion and hurt. "Mom, is this true?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "Everything here. Did you really do all this?" Megan's throat tightened. She wanted to hug her daughter, to shield her from the storm, but the weight of her secrets made her feel like she was suffocating. "Lily, it's complicated," she murmured, but the damage was done. Meanwhile, at Megan's office, colleagues who had once admired her began to treat her differently. Whispers followed her down the hallways. Emails leaked. Even longtime friends distanced themselves, afraid of what Claire's revelations implied. Megan's reputation, the one thing she had thought untouchable, was unraveling in real time. She confronted the first folder at her office desk. "Claire," she muttered, tears stinging her eyes. "What do you want from me?" It was then that the final shock came. A small slip of paper, tucked beneath the latest folder, contained a single message in Claire's handwriting. "I have not finished. Everyone you love will see the truth. Unless you remember what loyalty really costs." Megan realized the diary was not just a record. It was a weapon, designed to inflict maximum damage and ensure she felt the sting of exposure at every turn. Even Jason, who had tried to support her through the early revelations, now questioned everything. By nightfall, Megan sat alone in her dimly lit living room, the envelope spread across the table like a battlefield. The storm outside mirrored the chaos in her life. Every face she loved, every friend, every colleague, every family member, was now touched by Claire's meticulous revenge. Cliffhanger. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a video file. Megan hesitated, then pressed play. Claire's face appeared on the screen, calm, haunting, and alive in a way that made Megan's blood run cold. Claire smiled. "Welcome to the next act, Megan. The world is watching. Shall we begin?" Megan's fingers hovered over the play button, her breath shallow, heart pounding so violently it threatened to burst from her chest. She told herself it had to be a mistake, some clever hacker, some cruel prank. But when the video began, her blood ran cold. Claire Thompson appeared on the screen. Her hair was perfectly in place, her eyes sharp and calculating. But there was an otherworldly calm to her demeanor. She looked directly into the camera, into Megan's soul, and for a moment it felt as if the room around Megan had vanished. "Hello, Megan," Claire said, her voice low and chillingly familiar. "If you're seeing this, it means my work has begun." Megan's hand trembled. This isn't possible. You're dead," she whispered to herself, her voice cracking. "Am I?" Claire's lips curved into a slow, deliberate smile. "I planned everything carefully, long before the accident. You thought my silence meant weakness. You were wrong. Dead is merely a state of mind, Megan, and now I am everywhere you cannot see, but everywhere you will feel." The video flickered, and Claire's image seemed to pulse, almost alive, feeding on Megan's fear. "I've seen everything you've done, every lie you've whispered, every betrayal you thought was safe, and now the world will know. Your colleagues, your family, Jason, even Lily, everyone will learn what kind of woman you truly are." Megan's throat tightened. She tried to speak, to defend herself, but the words caught like thorns. "Claire, please, I can fix this. I can." "No," Claire interrupted sharply. "You can't fix the past. You can only watch it unravel. Every secret, every sin, every stolen dream, it all comes back to you now. And the best part? You will never know from whom it comes next, or when it will strike." The screen shifted to show clips Megan recognized. Herself being recorded unknowingly at work, photographs of private conversations, snippets of text messages she had thought deleted, and even moments of her childhood she had hoped were forgotten. Claire had compiled everything, anticipating every move Megan would make. Megan's hands flew to her head. The walls of her life, the walls she had so meticulously built, were collapsing. She could feel eyes on her from every corner of the town, though she was alone in her living room. Paranoia twisted inside her like a snake. Then Claire's final words appeared, echoing in Megan's mind long after the video ended. "You thought you were safe, Megan, but every step you take, every breath you draw, I am watching. The world will see what you've done, and you will feel powerless. Enjoy the game." Cliffhanger. Megan looked toward the window and froze. Lightning illuminated the yard, and for a fleeting moment, she swore she saw a figure standing in the shadows. But when the next flash came, it was gone. Her phone buzzed again. A message appeared from an unknown number. "Did you enjoy my voice? There's more to hear, Megan." Megan's life had become a living nightmare, each day darker than the last. Claire's diary, the mysterious envelopes, and the chilling videos had turned her once perfect world into a maze of paranoia, but nothing could have prepared her for what awaited her in the final pages of the diary. It began with a letter, thicker and heavier than the others, sealed with the unmistakable elegance of Claire's hand. Megan hesitated, her trembling fingers breaking the wax seal. Inside, the words were precise, calculated, and devastating. Claire had saved the most damning revelation for last. "You thought the past could stay buried," the note began, "but it never forgets. Megan, do you remember the night my father's business collapsed? The night my family lost everything? You weren't just a bystander, you were part of it. You whispered, you manipulated, you ensured the downfall, and I never forgot." Megan froze, the words cutting through her like a knife. Memories she had long buried, the lies, the schemes, the subtle ways she had undermined Claire's family, flooded back. She had always rationalized them as harmless, but now she saw the full scale of what she had done. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a crime, a calculated act that had shattered a family. Her mind reeled as she turned the pages. Claire had documented everything. The phone calls Megan had intercepted, the contracts she had altered, the misdirection that led to Claire's father losing his company. Each entry was supported by letters, photographs, even bank statements. Claire had watched, remembered, and waited. Jason's name appeared multiple times, a silent witness to the events Megan had orchestrated. Her betrayal had been so thorough that even he had remained oblivious, caught in the web of lies Megan had spun to protect herself. Megan's chest tightened. The weight of guilt pressed down on her, and for the first time she truly understood that nothing she had done could erase the damage. Claire's revenge wasn't just about her stolen ideas or Jason. It was about justice. And Claire had engineered it with meticulous care. Tears streamed down Megan's face as she read the final entry. "You thought you could outrun the past, Megan. You thought loyalty was optional. But every secret, every lie, every stolen piece of my life is returning to you. And when the world knows, you will remember this moment, the moment your past caught up with you. I am the shadow you cannot escape." Megan dropped the diary, her hands shaking. Every lie, every act of selfishness, every betrayal, exposed. Her reputation, her marriage, her family, all in ruins before her eyes. Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Her phone buzzed again, and a message from an unknown number appeared. "Did you really think this was the end, Megan? No, the final act is yet to come." Outside, a figure watched from the darkness, hidden but undeniably present, and Megan realized Claire may not be dead after all. Megan thought she had seen the worst of Claire Thompson's revenge. She had endured the diary, the videos, the envelopes, and the public exposure of her lies. Her marriage with Jason teetered on the brink, her daughter's trust shattered, and her career in ruins. She believed the nightmare had reached its climax. She was wrong. It began with a simple clue. An unmarked envelope slid under her front door in the dead of night. Inside was a single photograph. Claire alive, smiling at the camera as if she had never vanished. Megan's hands froze. Her heart raced as memories of every envelope, every recording, and every cryptic message flashed through her mind. The diary had hinted at this possibility, but Megan had dismissed it. Claire's death had seemed final, the tragedy irrevocable. But now, with that photograph, doubt clawed at her sanity. Could Claire have staged her own death? Had she been watching Megan's every move all along, manipulating events from the shadows? Her phone buzzed, and a video message automatically played. Claire appeared again, more alive than ever, her presence commanding and eerie. "Surprised, Megan?" Claire's voice was soft but sharp, cutting through the silence of Megan's darkened living room. "You've done well, unraveling yourself, exposing every lie, losing everything you thought safe. But this is only the beginning." Megan's eyes widened. "Claire, how is this possible? You're dead?" "That's exactly what I wanted you to believe," Claire interrupted, her smile deliberate. "You see, Megan, the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's letting the person destroy themselves, believing they have no control. and you did wonderfully." Every word clawed at Megan's resolve. She realized the diary, the envelopes, the maps, and the videos had all been part of a meticulously staged performance. Claire had known precisely how Megan would react, what she would do, who she would involve, and how she would unravel. Jason appeared behind Megan, his face pale. "Megan, what is this?" he whispered, seeing the video still playing. Megan shook her head, her voice trembling. "Claire, she's alive. She's been controlling everything." The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside the house, lightning flashing across the walls as if nature itself reflected the drama. Megan's mind raced. Every lie, every betrayal, every stolen secret, everything had been orchestrated. And now Claire had positioned herself for the final act. Cliffhanger. As the video ended, a sound came from the backyard, a soft, deliberate footstep on wet grass. Megan froze, her pulse pounding. Lightning illuminated the silhouette for a split second. Tall, elegant, unmistakably Claire. The final twist was no longer theoretical. Claire Thompson had returned, and Megan realized, with chilling clarity, that the nightmare was far from over.